Hey everybody, hope you're having a great day so far. Let's see, mine has gone pretty well. Nothing to complain about, but nothing too exciting either, just been working. But now I'm ready to start working on this for fun project, that's for sure. Alright, so let's see. We're back to pathfinding, and we mostly need to test numbers as nodes, and then test terminate function mode. So we'll probably go in this order. Alright, also, yesterday I stopped off and we had a weird bug with the ability indicators where it turns out it wasn't actually anything with our simple pool which we use to cache objects. It actually was because I forgot to clear the shown prefabs list, so yeah, of course, something silly like that. And it was it was basically causing objects to enter the pool twice. Which, yeah, a simple pool could maybe keep track of that, but it's asking a little too much. But anyway, now I'll just go through a couple turns and we can see it actually does show the entire path. So if we move here, previously here it wouldn't show all possible moves. I think these two were missing. And now it shows everything, so we're good to go. Okay, so yeah, let's try the terminate function, and I think how I'll do it is it'll find all paths until the cost is 3. Maybe we won't do any cost just for simplicity. So it'll find all paths and it'll want to end on a stone tile. Yeah, that should be okay. Yeah, if you start on a stone tile, maybe we'll do something that you'll move to a different tile or something, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter what the actual functionality is, we just need to test it. Okay. So we need to register a new ability. This will be move to different. So I guess we just have to make sure that there is a path. Okay, so how do I want to do this? Because if we want to move to different, this is actually an interesting Lua problem, because we need to somehow remember the specific starting tile for each query. I guess the easiest way would just be to use like a function up value. Okay, so yeah, we'll do that. I mean, this won't be the most efficient, but we're using Lua here, so it's okay. Alright, so since we're going to need to call this pathfinding twice, one to find if the ability is usable, and then one to actually get the targets, let's have a function factory here. So make test for different equals function. So we really just need to pass the starting prototype. And then what is actually passed to the terminate function? I think right now we only pass the actual tile. But maybe it should have other information such as a cost. I'll wait until we actually need that. Maybe we'll implement that through some other callback. Probably have an argument object actually, now that I think about it, but so anyway, we'll return another function. Oops, if I can spell it right. That will just take the position and if battle state get block position dot prototype does not equal starting prototype, then we would, I guess we just have to return true, don't we? So we don't have to do an if else. So we'll want to terminate if the prototypes are different. Okay, so let's see. We can use this kind of as a starting because terminate mode uses the same function here. Position, and then we'll call make test for different on we can make this a little simpler if we just pass the monster position like that. And then we would just return results paths greater than 0, just like before. Okay, so this will actually be start position. Okay, so local starting prototype. So I didn't type it all up. Equals battle state. Get block prototype. Alright. And then get targets is basically the same as A star move, except it will use the terminate function instead of a max path or max cost. So I think if I just copy this, that should work. Yeah, basically nothing's different. So I need to change the ability names. And then same thing with the selection to actions. We just basically move along the path. Okay. So the last thing I need to do is register this ability. Let's move to different, and then give it to both monsters so they can actually use it. Let's do the gold. Alright, so let's see, that should be it, and unless I've made any errors, hopefully things will work out. Okay, so I already got a syntax exception. Expected a parenthesis to close at line 127, R125. So let's look and see what that is. It was ability scripts. I probably just forgot parenthesis. Yeah, because we had the extra function in there. So here I have 3 parentheses, so we're good. Okay, so this time everything loaded right and moved to different usable. Okay, so it said that it was not usable. Oh, I think I know the problem actually, because it's again, we're looking at the block below the current block. So I need to start position below dot prototype, and that should be all we have to do. Move to different usable true. So let's look and see what the paths look like. Okay, so it complete. So it looks like something is not correct. Because it's not showing. Indicators aren't showing up. Something weird again. Script moved to different complete, but then nothing happened. But it wouldn't have returned true if there weren't any paths. Let's see. I guess I should see if this prototype has an equals function. That could be the issue. Okay, I do have equals. I thought I went through and added one for everything. Okay, so let's make sure it's not something else and that the old pathfinding abilities still work. So star move, yeah, it's showing that, and then move towards is correct as well. So yeah, something is wrong with move to different. It doesn't throw any errors, but nothing shows up. There be an error if there's no indicators? this looks right to me. Maybe the problem is that it just returned one path, and that path was the ending node. Oh, actually, this position, it needs to check below as well, doesn't it? Yeah, so I think it was just returning true. Our terminate function was ending the search right away because it said that the error prototype is different than dirt, which is true, but that's not what we wanted. Okay, so yeah, here it says you can move to any stone tile. Yeah, so it looks about right, but I actually want to change it so that we can actually only move to the stone tiles. So what is the function to just get the ending nodes? I forget. Let's clean up scripts up there. Okay, so get all paths, get all subpaths. This is kind of backwards, isn't it? So get all ending paths. I guess I'll call it complete. Okay, so the difference here is that instead of getting subpaths, we only want to get paths that actually ended the search, which means that where this terminate function returned true. Stop scrolling out at the beginning. Okay, so now, alright. Yeah, now it tells me I can move to only the stone tiles, which is correct. Let's do something similar here. And now if I click move to different, yeah, now it'll let me only move to dirt tiles. It looks good. So now, I was going to say maybe we should do some randomization, but so far I haven't implemented random in lieu of functions. And unfortunately that's not super easy because the random number generator is going to need to use a seed value, so it always returns the same sequence of numbers whenever we run the same code, but it looks like everything is working good so far, and it's not too slow either. I wonder how long it took to get the move to different get targets. Wow, it only took 1 frame. Okay, yeah, that's really good actually. How many? Now that I think about it, that doesn't actually say that there wasn't a gap in the frame rate, because I forget exactly how long the iterations take, or how many total iterations I allow. Okay, I allow 100. So I guess we'd have to test more to see exactly how long that actually takes. It's hard to, since we have basically no graphics right now, it's hard to gauge exactly what the impact of to the frame rate it is, because nothing's moving. But it looks... the mouse cursor didn't jump. I'm not sure if that would have happened anyway. Seems pretty quick. Alright, well cool. We're done with that. Okay, so now I want to do one more. How would I actually do this? I need to do a search, but I basically just want it to find some number. Okay, so let's make another file here. So we have simple pathfinding. This will be test count pathfinding. And basically we'll just want to count upwards to a certain value, and we'll also go negative as well, so that's how we can test branching paths. And the whole point of this is that we will support numbers also as nodes, and that way the Lua or the mod authors can use this pathfinding for basically any kind of value they want. Because with numbers you can make a list of certain values you'd want to search between. What am I trying to do? Oh right, it's saved as a text file, so I need to go rename it. Just open it back. Notepad. No. Okay, so it'll actually be pretty simple. So let's change this to isValidNumber. And basically this will always return true, because any number that we'd actually get here is valid. Okay, so neighbors. Actually be the same here, but every number will just have two neighbors, so we don't really need to do this or think about it too hard. So neighbors 1 is number -1, and then neighbors 2 is number +1. So the cost to from is, will actually always be 1 because neighbors always are 1, different from each other. So we can just return 1. And then guess will be the distance between them. So actually it works the same. So at minus target. Okay, so let's name this counting. Actually didn't need this function. That was just to help with neighbors. So yeah, get neighbors, get costs, and get guess cost. Okay, so instead of making a number, let's just have this after turn of, or instead of making another ability that basically does nothing, let's just have this after turn effect that already does nothing. Just try to count, I don't know, 77. Okay, so we want results, and again all we're doing here is testing a different node type, so all the different pathfinding modes will still work here, but here we actually want to find to a target. So I'm trying to remember what I named that function. Find shortest path. Okay, so counting. So since we passed that, the pathfinding system will know to use these functions instead of these functions. And the start is 0. And okay, so the target, I'll just make it 77. Well, it'll be one path because it is just counting or a target. So why don't we print path out? I might need to call toString just in case. I'll do that. Oops. And we should probably actually add a toString method to the path itself. This doesn't have an equality thing. I wonder if we should do that. Would there be any need to actually test equality between paths? I guess. Let's actually move this below. Sorry, I got sidetracked from my current project, but this might need to be helpful. So return other does not equal. Oh, we actually need to do a little more testing than that. So if other does not equal null, then I guess really the only way we can do this is to find the order and then test each value in there. Okay, so first we'll find our order and other find order. And then if other dot order count equals my order count, then for each, oh no, we need to loop through with an I. If order I equals other order I, we can do this because the equals function in a dynamic value actually tests equality in the objects as well, or the user data objects. Oops, I forgot to do I++. So we actually need to see if this does not equal, then we can return false here. Otherwise, if we get all the way through the for loop, we'd return true. And then we also need to do else. False like that. Okay, so anyway. Something. I wanted to generate a hash code. Although that's going to be a little difficult to do. But basically just return on the, or count on the order. I don't know if this list, well, dynamic values don't have a good hash code anyway. Well, I mean, I guess this is better than nothing. And we also need override equals. Other equals object. No, we can't do that because the object. Oh wait, no, it is an object, so that would work, I think. So if other does not equal null, then we'd return our better equality tester. And then of course if this isn't a path, then it would return false. Okay, so that's good. And again, I'm not really sure if this hash code actually does anything useful, but at least if the hash codes are equal, we'll know that this will return true, which is the main thing that you need. So now, yeah, I want to override toString. I guess I'll make this useful. Here I need to do find order. I wonder if this is a good idea. I'm not sure the dynamic value will call the hash code at some time, because I want the order to only be called as like a lazy thing. Okay, I see. Yeah, it only returns a hash code if it's already been called once, so yeah, that's what I wanted. I was afraid that like the dynamic value, I remember it cached the hash code, but only after it's been called once, and I was afraid that maybe it would try to cache the hash code when the value is created, but thankfully it doesn't. Okay, so what I want to do here is actually print out the whole order. I think that will be very helpful later on. Although I don't really know if that will be that helpful because the dynamic object toString is not very good either. Thing. Oh, it's to print string. Okay, this must be like for Lua. I kind of want it to return like our actual, see, for user data it just returns user data. I wish I would actually call the user data toString. I'm not really sure why it doesn't, to be honest, but I guess I can fix that myself here. So we'll need a string builder. And this is basically a string that you can construct as you go. Okay, so string builder, append, path, I don't want to format this. And then for int I equals 0, order count. So basically we'll want to loop through everything in the order, except since dynamic value has a bad toString. So if order I type is user data, then we'll want to actually append the order I user data object toString. Otherwise we'll just use the normal toString. Okay, and then afterwards, if I is less than order count minus 1, which basically means there's at least one more object in the list, then we'll add a comma. And then to close it out, we'll add another parenthesis. Okay, so yeah, a bit more complicated than maybe is needed, but I wanted to have a nice debug suite for these paths. Alright, so let's see what happens. Good, everything loads, okay. So obviously nothing's different right now. Things will be different when we after one turn, and then it does the after turn effects, and it does get an error. So pathfinding function group counting not registered. Oh, I know what happened. I didn't add the new script file to the table of contents, so it didn't actually load it. So test count pathfinding. Okay, so yeah, that was a bit of wasted time, but no big deal. I really need to shrink this map, I think. Okay, so it looks like it worked. Let's go back up and see if we can see the print. Okay, right here. Yeah, so path 0, 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah, all the way to 77, which is what we expected. Yeah, so it found the, well, basically just counted up to 77 in a very roundabout way. Very cool. So even though we had a target, I guess I could have looked to get all subpaths and seen if what was going on, because I think it should have at least gone to -1 once. Although I don't know if it actually would have ever visited it, because it probably should have always been farther away in the priority queue. So let's yeah, that's a good idea to test that just to see if that's what's happening. So let's go back, and I'll make this shorter just for my sanity. Okay, and then so we actually want to get all the paths. And the first one is just the one to the target. So for path and paths, get all subpaths. We'll just print that as well. Okay, so let's see what happens now. So hopefully I'll just return a path, or paths at 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 5. Or, I guess I can't count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And hopefully it doesn't actually return something a little different. Oh, that's a little strange. Oh, it's just because I didn't reset the scale. I'm not going to worry about it. So if my understanding is correct, it won't show the path 0, -1 here, which it doesn't, thankfully. Okay, and it shows this twice because the complete path is first in the list for all subpaths. And it worked how I thought. 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, good, and no 0, -1. So that means even though -1 is a neighbor, the A-star algorithm always knew that -1 was farther away from the target of 5 than every other value, so the priority queue never had the algorithm calculate that node. Okay, so cool. So yes, of course, this actual use of pathfinding is not useful, but by letting us have numbers as nodes, as I said before, mods can basically have pathfinding over any data structure they want. Because, say for example, you wanted to, I don't know, maybe a mod had some special data structure, as long as you're able to transform those data structures into numbers, you could also use it in the pathfinding algorithm. So maybe we should test sending an invalid node type. So right here, instead of sending a position, let's just send the monster. We should get an error, so let's look and see what happens. Looks like we did pathfinding function pass invalid value for start node. Which is what we thought. Yeah, it says must be a number or board position. That's all we support right now. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this pathfinding. It's turning out to be pretty easy to use and also very generic, which makes it have a lot of different ways of user can take advantage of it. So are we, I guess we just need to see about caching searches. So really all I need to do for that is the Pathfinder Manager will need to clear this Pathfinder's dictionary whenever a certain action is logged. So let's see, how would I do that? So this action logger is what actually does it. Easiest way is that when it adds an action, it would let the Pathfinder Manager know. But I feel a little strange about letting something in the Lua interface control the outside code. But we can't wait until the action's actually executed in the game, because in Lua, right when you add the action, or right when you add this action, the Lua script basically pretends that it actually has happened, so that all the values sent to Lua will be consistent. Okay, well I guess we'll just have to deal with actionless notifying the Pathfinder Manager. Could do it through a message, I guess. Although here it doesn't even... See, I kind of want the action list to... I mean, my vision is that they wouldn't like ever have to call back the rest of the game code. They would just basically read what the rest of the game code did. But maybe this is one exception. Maybe an easy way to do this is that the Pathfinder Manager will only clear Pathfinders once a turn is over. But in Lua, it won't like return or use a reuse, or how should I say this? Like whenever reuse a Pathfinder search once the action list is changed. I think that's how we'll do it. Okay, so Pathfinder Manager. Although I guess here is where it would actually store the caches. Okay, so let's see. need to have some value here that we'd see if a certain query is handled by this pathfinder. And I guess the main three things are the function group, the end type, and then depending on what the end type is, the target max cost or terminate function. If those are equal, then it can reuse. And I think this is kind of important, because otherwise the Lua code would need to somehow store these find all paths, which there's no memory between these functions, so that wouldn't work very well. Well, I mean, I guess the other option is to actually have a memory here. Let's see, would that be possible? So I guess the arguments would store, would just have a memory value that would be passed right on to the ability get targets. That might be easier actually. That way the mod authors would have complete control over when a pathfinding query is actually handled. And also I won't have to worry about when the paths are made invalid. I think I will end up doing that. Okay, so let's get started. So I guess ability usable and the arguments, I just need to have a memory value, and that's passed on to the get targets for the same monster and ability. So I think how I did the memory before actually goes and okay, just close it, but so where is it? Ability targets. It's actually the get target argument. Oh wait. Okay, so get targets is where we want to add memory. It's actually the selections to actions that should have it. Okay, here, so it's this player turn selection class that has the memory. Oh right, it's just what is actually, the memory is saved here in this option, and then it's just passed along. Just use the Lua table. Okay, so what I want to do is in the get targets, add memory value. Yeah, I guess this should be hidden because there's no reason for them to create another table. Ability usable arguments will have it where you can actually set the memory. Okay, and so now I need to somehow store this value in such a way that the game will be able to pass it on. So I have this ability usable cache. So maybe this, I can use this as something similar. I'm trying to figure out where this is actually used. Oh, it's yeah, on the usable window. It's because I didn't want the window to actually call the Lua script, so there's some other code that remembers. So yeah, something like that. This cache could store it. Let's close all documents, getting too busy up there. But right now it just passes a usable state. That wouldn't be too difficult to change though. But let's start on the Lua caller and move forward from there because that's where it all starts. I just want to create a new table. Can I do that? Okay, I just have to have the script. Okay, that looks fine. Do I use this somewhere else? Okay, I do actually use it to make the memory target options. Okay, yeah, this is actually just created in the actual user data, which I guess is fine, but I'll do it this way. And I don't need to change anything here. So I guess, yeah, the result will need to also send the memory. So memory. Well, actually, I only want to set that if the state is usable. Because otherwise, we won't want to store the table around. Result memory equals. Okay, so actually, I do have the parameters here. I actually need this. Okay, well there's two ways I can do it. I can either do it the quick and sloppy way or try and do it a little cleaner. We have time to try and do it well, so might as well. Call. What was the other class that had something like this? It had a little metadata. Oh yeah, it was the get targets. So I'll just use this as a base. So yeah, it still needs a monster and ability. Not so much options. It'll have a table for the memory. And that's it. And then I think I had an active script ID. Oh, but that I don't really need that. That was just to make sure that it didn't try to create an ability target at the wrong time. But I do need this dictionary here. Can't do that just yet, but I guess I'll store the memory. So yeah, pull this out here. And then we'll get script ID, and then before calling run, we need to register the call and this dictionary. I guess I did make it a class. I'm not really sure why it needs to be a class, but pretty sure I had it as a struct at first and something went wrong, so. Okay, so open calls equals new. Oh, I did this wrong. Yeah, it should be open calls script ID equals new. Yeah, I just want a new instance of the call class, not a whole new dictionary. So just copy the information from the parameters. So now, instead of having to pass the parameters, kind of hacky using the onComplete. We can just use the actual return values from the asynchronous call. And then get this information from this call class. Then we'll want to, right away, I'm going to remove this from the dictionary because I always forget to do that. And again, we'll only set the memory here if the state turns out to be usable, because otherwise we don't need to store this information. So that's all good. Let's see what actually handles this. So we got usable ability computer. Yeah, so right now it sets the cache. And I guess I could just store the memory here as well. When is this reset? Okay, so it's reset when we move out of the option phase. Because I guess by that point it has actually chosen the ability, so we could just store the memory. I think that will work okay. Oops, I don't want to do that. So that means I need to, instead of just having this usable state, I need to have a little more data in here. So yeah, we'll have the ability usable state and the table. Maybe just change that, and when we get the state, just change this to info. And then if it's actually found here, we can just return info state. Okay, and so instead of this being set state, let's rename this to store. Only one S at the beginning. And then I just need to create a new info. Okay, is that it? So yeah, now we store the memory, but we need to go a little bit further. Because this... What did I do that? Result. So the problem here is that this actually will clear out everything, but we actually need to store this memory before we do that. So where is it? How would store the selections? So isn't it the choice? Yeah, the actions collector. What this does is it goes through all the players and waits for them all to have their selections made. So I guess the easiest way would be to have this turn selection actually store the memory. That doesn't work that well because this turn selection is supposed to be sent over the server and everything. I guess another option is to another option is instead of storing this memory, we actually kind of like how we do to find these indicators, we just run this again. But that pretty much defeats the whole purpose because we have to find the shortest path again, which is what we're trying to avoid. We already have... See, ideally, the memory would be stored once here in a usable and then passed on. And we wouldn't have to call this again. And then get targets. Memory would be stored. And then we wouldn't have to call this again, just to get the memory to call to, or to send to the selections of actions. Because right now we have to regenerate this. And the reason is because due to the game crashing, we might not still have the memory stored. I guess in that case it'd be fine to calculate it again. So maybe a better way is if we cache this memory a little better. Okay, so maybe that changes I just made here. Probably not the best choice because this is cleared out right away, because this is basically just build a usable state cache. So what we really want is another cache, but that it's only for the Lua memory, and then it's cleared out at the end of a turn because it's always valid basically until any actions are done. Well, I mean, it might also depend on like the random seed, but we're not dealing with that yet, so.
I'm just calling to tell you we have the tubes doing more than done.
Another thing. And then for here we need to store the memory basically for every indicator. Which I guess we could do because basically the indicators are just one array, so we can... Okay, actually, yeah, it's just, the indicators don't have memory, it's just the option, which is one array, so we can basically just store an array of memory, which will be equivalent. Yeah, and then but we still have to, for some reason we didn't have the memory for a specific monster and ability pair, then we need to recalculate. Okay, so let's create a new class here. Yeah, so I guess I'll call it ability Lua memory cache. And it'll work almost exactly like the usable cache. I know I just changed it, but I think it'll be good to keep them separate because they're kind of different. Let's see, click. Like ideas. So yeah, let's just revert everything here. Okay, and then the computer. Oh wait, it undid that as well. Okay, so the computer will also store the memory, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, this didn't get reset, right? No, it's still good. So basically, we'll want to have another key that basically is the same as here. Because it's, oh wait, the same as here. It's only based on the monster and ability. Yeah, that's pretty much true. Because technically, even though this get targets will depend on the memory passed from this, the memory should always be the same because this only depends on the monster and ability index. So I think we're good. I kind of got a little sidetracked off of pathfinding, but I think this is the right way to do it instead of trying to cache the pathfinding. That was just like a band-aid over a bigger issue. Yeah, so the get targets only has ability and monster, and ability usable arguments is again the same. And then the selection, two actions. This returns the selection, and that has the player, monster, ability, and memory. Okay. Yeah, this player is basically not that useful because it's really just the monster that matters. So we can see everything depends on only the monster and ability and the memory is passed on from earlier scripts to the next. So we're fine only depending on the monster and ability in this key. Okay, so this is what I wanted. So it'll be a lot like this. Yeah, the info is going to need to be a class because things will be changed, or values will be set at different times. And we'll have a table. Okay, so this will be from usable, and then this will be actually a list of tables, and this is from get targets. This is ability memory cache. Why is this? Oh, it must be in data or something, but it's okay, we don't actually need it. Okay, so I think it would be useful if I pretty much have nothing able to actually access this info class. So let's have get from usable. And we'll return a table. Okay, let's actually do try get, because it's possible that it won't actually, might not have anything here. Oops. I want to turn a boolean. Okay, so info. Okay, so here we if info from usable does not equal null, then we'll set memory to info from usable and return true. Basically any other time we just return false. Extract method, code refactoring. Probably just because all the errors are messing up. Okay, and then I need to set memory to null right here at the beginning. Okay, then we'll have something similar for get from targets. Except here we'll also need the option index, which is basically the index in the list here. And info from get targets count is greater than option, and info from get targets option does not equal null. Alright, okay, so here will be set from usable. So we'll still have to try get because it might already exist. Yeah, we should actually do it this way. So if it doesn't exist, we just need to create it. Okay, so cache new key. Monster ability equals info, and then info dot from usable. So now set from get targets, and this will just be a list of table. We'll just have whatever it is pass the list to us. I think that will be simplest. Okay, so now I think we're all good here. Okay, so the usable ability computer. Here it will also set the memory. So let's have state cache then we'll have another one for the memory cache. And we'll just go ahead and use a simple variable. Memory cache. And if memory cache value is null, we'll just create a new one here. So pass the monster and the ability and the memory. So at this point, yeah, we store that. But we don't clear the cache, we only clear the state cache, not the memory cache. The memory cache will be cleared when we enter the execution phase, which I guess let's not do that yet. Okay, so yeah, we're done with pathfinding for now. Okay, so now we need to regenerate usable memory if yeah, disconnected, and then pass memory to get targets, store get targets memory. And then we'll update the get targets memory regenerator to not always call the functions again. I think. And then also we'll update whatever passes to the selection to target or selection actions to use the new memory cache. And then last but not least, clear memory cache at the end of the ordering phase. At this point, everything's been decided. Okay, so this I think will be actually the most difficult of all these because we might need to create a new phase. So in the ordering phase, I already... Wait, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, we have this regenerate target options, which is basically, the only reason is because we try to get the memory. And we need to do the same thing. I guess we would actually just do it here, right? Well, we might need to do it here. Yeah, this is... Yeah, there's 2 points where you might need to regenerate the usable memory, either here or when back in the selection phase before it sends things to the server. So yeah, let's generate usable memory if disconnected and get target. Wait, and select target. Why did I put an extra E there? Yeah, so that's fine, and then yeah, here we might need to also regenerate usable memory. Again, if we weren't having online multiplayer, all this would be a lot simpler, but yeah, if there's anything's become apparent from this project, it's pretty obvious why a lot of indie games decide not to have online multiplayer. It makes everything way more complicated. even just a turn-based game. Okay, but let's move on with it. So the select target manager, and this calls the get, or the Lua call. So here it should also pass the memory, I think. Oh, what is it? Target table. Okay, so there we took care of that, but so the problem here, what phase does this happen in? So basically we need to get the memory here. Maybe it'd be the easiest thing to do is, instead of making a separate phase at this point, we would just call the ability usable function again if for some reason the memory wasn't stored. Because now that I think about it, I don't actually think that can happen, because you'd have to like... No, because if you got disconnected, the server would have told you to just skip the selection part. So maybe I don't need to change anything at this point. Is there any way that you could somehow get to this phase without the usable function being called? I don't think so. So, okay, well that makes things a little simpler. We'll still need to get the variable for the cache though. So ability Lua memory cache. Oh, come on. So get variable. Right, and then basically we would just get the value out of the cache. Oh, so let's try get. That's probably a good idea. Okay, so this is yeah, there's no memory. It'd be something really weird. I guess we could just throw a play exception. Although really it should just be a normal exception, because that would be something that's my fault. Because I don't actually think that could ever happen. Okay, so table. So if memory cache value dot try get from usable, so this is false. I guess I'll just throw, I don't even know what to call this. I don't think this can ever happen, so I'm spending way too much time in this. So I don't think this can ever happen, so I'm not gonna like spend a lot of time on trying to make sophisticated error handling. Alright, so now we don't need to do that anymore. And so now we pass the memory to get targets. So yeah, now we need to store the get targets memory, which is pretty simple. So this already sends a list of target options. So where is it that handles the results? Right here. So it adds it to the scope, which is fine. But we'll actually want to make a new list table. Memory equals new. Okay, I guess we can do for each option in results options. And I think the option has a memory right there. So then memory cache store, oh wait, value set from get targets. Okay, so now it stores that. So now we're good there. So the get targets memory regenerator will also need to regenerate usable memory now for sure. That's on ordering. Selection regenerator. So right now, yeah, we have this, but I don't think we actually need to do that anymore. Oh, excuse me, about to sneeze. Allergies have been horrible today. Alright. So we have this dictionary, and this is basically the same as what we've been doing. Okay, we'll want to get rid of this. When does a sorter use it? Okay, so I guess the player sorter also has this information. Well, that's no big deal. The player sorter would just also have the memory. Let's see, how does it use that? Sort players, Lua color. So it has a list of selections in this dictionary. Yeah, but it only uses it one way just to get the Lua memory, as I thought. So this would be the same as if I just passed Lua memory for each player. So let's change this. So the regenerator, we want it to also regenerate memory. Generator use new cache, key generator, and then we also want to remove use of old options, dictionary cache, which is kind of what this is, and sort players. And I guess we'll just remove old cache value from the component tags. Just to clean that up. But anyway, let's start here. Anyway, we don't need this dictionary anymore. So ability, real memory cache. Okay, because basically we don't need anything else about the return values from the get targets. We only need the memory, because everything else is given to us from the server. So cache. Okay, and this should be a variable subscription. Could make it just a normal component actually, so I wouldn't have to go through using variables. Maybe if this causes trouble, I'll do that. Okay, so down here, so what does this do for every player? I guess I'll need to change this to working get targets, and then also working get usable, because I might need to call usable before get targets. And now also, since we have the cache, it might not even need to run at all. So I guess we'll find that out here. Although it doesn't have per player state, does it? Well, I guess what I'll do is I'll just wait until it has the usable for every player, and then it will go on to get targets. Okay, so yeah, state initialize. We're actually out of time. So let me write a note here to also, generator not call scripts if we already have the memory. So basically it really just needs to, let's see, it could have usable but not the get targets memory, I think. So yeah, I was gonna say we might only need to check to see if it has the first memory, and then it will always have the second memory, but you could disconnect after the first one was created. Alright. So we'll come back and hopefully finish this up tomorrow. I probably won't be able to stream Friday because I'm actually having people come to upgrade my internet. Luckily, it's been holding steady tonight. But yeah, after Friday, I should be able to up my bitrate and we'll have a much higher quality stream, so I'm excited for that. And then I'm inspired to start another smaller game, just because I've been working on this game for quite a while. So we might work on that next week, but I want to be sure to finish up with all this pathfinding because that's a good place to stop. Yeah, but anyway, thanks everybody for coming by and watching. I do appreciate it. I should be back tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern. If you missed part of the stream or any previous stream and you want to catch up, I upload all of the streams to my YouTube channel, which you can find in my channel description or by typing !YouTube in chat. And I also have a Discord chat if you want to talk to me and other viewers and game developers. I think it'd be really fun if we got some more people in there, so feel free to look for an invitation in my channel description or by typing !Discord in chat. And again, thanks everybody for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye bye.